Hey songwriters, welcome back to another edition of At Home Songwriting. I'm Chad Shank, and I am super excited to welcome a special songwriting guest to the channel today. Michelle Rose is my guest, and she is a songwriter, a singer, a recording artist. She's done a ton of different videos. She's released her own music. It's going to be a great conversation to find out how did she get started, where is she at now, and then where does she want to go in the future. So this will be really fun. So let's go. So welcome to the channel, Michelle Rose. Michelle, welcome to At Home Songwriting.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I've been following kind of your adventures on Facebook. I've seen that you've been releasing new music, you've been doing some performances, there's some holiday music that you have out. And you're also kind of continuing your education within songwriting too. So I wanted to have you on the channel just to learn more about what you've been up to and see what your plans are. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you having me on here.
Do you look at yourself as more of a recording artist, or do you consider yourself a songwriter, or both? Or kind of how do you look at what you do with your art?
I would consider myself a recording artist and a songwriter. Um,
Cool.
yeah, and I guess also in a way a director for my music videos because that's something I do a lot of. And yeah, I guess those are my three. And then student, now that I'm starting my master's soon.
So let's rewind a little bit. And when did music or when did songwriting, you know, become a part of your life? Like, how did that sort of start showing up in your world?
It's kind of a long story. So, I used to take dance classes and I wanted to be a professional ballerina. And I also got involved in pageants. So, I would always dance for the talent portion of the pageants. And I was a very bad dancer. I was actually recycled to beginner level one 3 times in my dance class because I was just so bad. Everybody would go this way and I'd be going the opposite way, and I was just totally off. So, apparently my family could hear some natural singing ability for me. Like I would sing along to Sarah Brightman CDs in the backseat of their car, and they thought that I might have some potential in singing. So they kind of tried to encourage me to try voice lessons so that I could use singing as my talent instead of dance. And once I started singing, I totally forgot about dance because I just completely fell in love with singing. And I think that I was always very fascinated with voices because I would go to church and I would hear the or the choir singing, and I thought they were real angels. And I was just always so fascinated with voices and singing and thought it was beautiful. So I fell in love with it, and I've been taking lessons ever since and just developed that love and passion more and more as I grew older.
So obviously started kind of down the singing path. I know you mentioned like Sarah Brightman. Were there other artists that you looked up to when you were growing up as kind of singers that you wanted to emulate?
Yes, well, my mom played a lot of Enya growing up, so I loved the
Yeah,
beauty of Enya's voice, but also I loved Josh Groban, Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Prince, Taylor Swift, and those are kind of my biggest influences throughout my life, and I still listen to all of them.
awesome. So obviously singing, when did songwriting enter the picture? Was that something that came later, or what did that look like for you?
When I was 11, I met a talent agent who he owns a modeling agency, acting agency, talent agency. It's kind of combined into one thing. And I told him that I really wanted to dive deeper into singing. So he got me connected to my first producer, Stephen Helvig, who I still work with today in the Minneapolis area. And Stephen encouraged me to co write lyrics with him. Again, I was 11 and I was just typing, these Word documents with tons and tons and tons of paragraphs and pages of ideas, but none of it was really concise. And so I guess I have been co-writing since I was 11, but then I didn't actually start songwriting until I went to Berklee. So that would have been like 2018 when I actually started to learn about composing and music theory, lyric writing. And I just again fell in love and became obsessed with analyzing songs, and which is something I know you love to do. It was
Yes.
so fun for me. And yeah, so once I had those basic tools of, understanding chords and piano, lyric writing, I was able to put it all together. And I've just loved songwriting ever since then. And that's what my master's degree will be in, is songwriting from Berklee Online.
Awesome. So that's I was going to ask you. So the master's part of it, you are focusing on songwriting through Berklee, which I think is one of the premier schools for that for sure.
Yes, I'm so excited. I love Berklee, and I actually finished my undergrad degree with Berklee online as well, which I loved.
Awesome.
So convenient. And yeah, I'm so excited to learn more and become a better songwriter.
So you mentioned starting co-writing when you were like 11 with the producer that you work with now. Obviously, that's a long time working with someone. Has that process changed over the years, or how has that sort of collaboration grown?
Yeah, I still co-write with him, but I also have co-written with some other people, and I feel like
Cool.
every single time is different. Maybe you can relate to that too, but I feel like everybody has different methods that they use. So I was recently in Nashville writing with some people, and they would write just putting out ad libs, like improvising little lines and melody ideas. And I had never been around that before. I thought that was very interesting. I
Cool.
usually write out a Word document and try to, you know, plunk it out on the piano slowly and take my time. And then other people, I have just texted them my ideas if they live in another state, and then they'll text me back a voice memo putting my ideas to music. And yeah, it kind of
Cool.
depends and changes every single time.
So, when you're writing here in Minneapolis with Steve, that's what you said his name is he sort of showing you musical ideas and then you're kind of thinking vocally and lyrically, or is it kind of going both ways, or what does that look like?
Well, so far, we haven't done co-writing specifically in a little while, but I'm
Okay.
actually gonna re-record a song that I made with him when I was 11. So we're working on
Awesome.
that. But yeah, I will be doing more co-writing with him soon, and he's
Cool.
mainly a producer songwriter, so he'll definitely be doing the music side, and I'll probably be doing more of the lyrical side.
So when you were in Nashville, then you said that was kind of a new experience for you. Was it sort of one of those co-writing sessions where everybody gets in the room and it's like, okay, we're going to write a song, or how did that process all work for you?
Yes, we wanted to write a bunch of songs, so we wrote 2 songs a day for 3 days, and I had never written that many in such a short amount of time. Usually it's like, the song will take me, I don't know, that's kind of my main project for the day is one song.
Yeah.
So so it was very fast paced, but it was so fun. Just everybody was bouncing ideas off of each other, and I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And I also did something kind of similar at Berkeley, with other classmates, but it was again more plunking it out and taking our time and less improvisation.
What do you think the Nashville experience taught you the most?
It definitely taught me a whole new way of writing because, yeah, usually it can take me, I mean, I think some of my songs have only taken about 20 minutes to write, maybe an hour. Some of them take longer, but I usually take my sweet time to really think about every single line. And it taught me to be a little more spontaneous and just see what works, just try things, and to be more vulnerable with strangers for co-writing sessions. Because at first I was kind of self-conscious, like, oh, what if my ideas aren't good enough? And what if it doesn't work for what these other writers have in mind? But I've learned to just, take chances, and that's usually what turns out to be the best in the end.
So are you writing for a new project for yourself? Are you writing for other artists, or what's kind of the goal with some of these songs?
All of the songs are only for me. I would like to write for other artists at some point, but right now I'm only working on stuff for myself. But Yeah, I was just working on some original songs to be released next year.
Cool. And I know that you've recently released some new songs. I know around Halloween you had a couple of songs that you had released. Um, for people who haven't heard your music before, how do you describe your style?
Oh my gosh. Well, I would say I would say that I'm pop alternative, but I kind of go all over the place because yeah, I'm working on a Halloween EP, so some of my songs, my newest songs are all spooky. And then I do have some Christmas songs, like I just released a song, a cover of I'll Be Home for Christmas, and on Friday I'm releasing a cover of It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas.
Awesome.
But my other non-holiday songs are kind of pop alternative with a little bit of R&B and adult contemporary thrown in. And it's all over the board from very pop or very dancey, almost EDM styles to ballads. So it kind of goes all over the place. And I actually have a country song coming out next month because I'm just trying a bunch of different things because I don't know what fits me the
Yeah.
best.
Do you like all those different styles? Like, some artists, it's not that they really want to hit a market, it's more like they just like it, so they're gonna do it. Is that kind of the way that you're looking at it too?
Yes, I like all sorts of different styles, and everybody has been telling me that I need to focus on one and, just pick a box and stick with it. But I feel like I can't really know what that box is until I try all these different styles that I also love. So
Yeah.
I'm just experimenting with everything right now to see what feels best to me and also to see what other people like because I'm open to having that discussion and taking in feedback.
So I know some people watching are gonna ask, why spooky music? Why Halloween?
I have always been a huge Halloween nerd ever since I was 2 years old when I had my first Halloween party. And I don't know what it is about Halloween. I really like to be scared. I love horror movies and I love dressing up, which I think is obvious in my music videos because there are so many crazy costumes. But I just love everything about it. And I put on a big Halloween party every year. I decorate the whole house. So it's a big part of my life, I guess. And I heard of other Halloween songs, like Kim Petras is one of my favorite artists,
Yeah.
and she has an amazing, amazing Halloween album.
I was
So
actually gonna ask you if that was any inspiration because her Halloween stuff is great, like really good.
yeah, well, I actually didn't discover her songs until after I made my first Halloween song. But before that, I had heard some Halloween songs like from Disney Channel growing up, and that was about it. And I thought, there are so many Christmas songs. Why don't people make Halloween songs? So
Yeah.
that's why I got into it. But then after I made my first Halloween song, Ghosted, after that, I heard her songs. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do a whole album and just keep this going because I love what she did and more people need to be doing it. I think it's so cool.
Well, just from a marketing standpoint too, like every year Halloween comes around, so people can dig out the songs again and, play dress up and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yes, that's so true.
So when you went your undergrad through Berklee, was your focus on songwriting then as well, or was your major something different?
My major was originally just vocal performance, and that was my plan was to only focus on singing the whole time. But then I started to think, maybe I should develop other skills that I don't already have. So I took one songwriting class, and my mind was blown. And I thought it was so interesting and fun. So then I started taking more and more classes, and then I decided to make my major vocal performance and songwriting and music production so that I can
Awesome.
be more well-rounded.
So can I ask who that first songwriting instructor was or what course that was?
Yes, it was Scarlett Key's lyric writing, and
Awesome.
she's one of the best teachers ever. I love her.
Yeah, and for those watching, if you haven't, she's got some videos out on YouTube, some really basic stuff, but yeah, like superb teacher for sure.
Yes,
Awesome. I'm a huge Berklee fan too because I have a certificate in songwriting through them. So
That's so
love the
amazing.
online stuff. So you
Yes.
said it blew your mind. How do you think it opened your eyes to songwriting? Like what was that experience for you stepping into Scarlett's class like that?
Well, I guess the reason I had never actually written a song myself before was because I didn't want to mess up and I felt like I didn't have the knowledge or tools to write a good song. And I just had no idea how someone would even write a song. I had no concept of how you would put that together. And once I got in there and saw all of these tricks for how to influence your audience and make them feel sad or happy or melancholic, it just, yeah, it opened my eyes. And I love, like I was saying, I love analyzing songs and looking at what chords they used and where they modulated to a new key. Um, I'm all about prosody now and thinking about, you know, I guess just how many lines you use, if it's even or uneven, and making the listener settled or unsettled. I think all of that is so crazy and so cool.
Yeah.
And I had never even heard of any of those things before coming to Berkeley. So it really expanded my horizons.
Yeah, I think for me that's the same. Like I had been writing songs and obviously listening to music my whole life, but when they show you these different ways to look at it and sort of analyze what's happening, it is sort of like, wow, that's so cool. And I think that's what I get drawn to all the time as well. And you had mentioned analyzing songs too.
Yes, I love it. And now that I've taken those classes, I'm hyper aware. So if I hear a lyric that just doesn't make sense, I it's so hard for me to listen to it now
Yeah.
because I yeah, I just really admire all the teachers I had at Berkeley and they're so professional with everything that they do. So I feel like I was spoiled and now my standards are much higher than they would have been before for listening to music.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. That means when you hear something that's really good, that means it's probably really good. So,
Yes,
yeah.
so true.
Um, So as you think about what you want, I mean, I know you said you're kind of trying different music, trying different things out. Do you see yourself kind of continuing down that artist path, or do you kind of see yourself going into the songwriting and production, or all of the above, or what does the future goal look like for you?
My number one goal is to be a touring artist. So
Cool.
writing my own songs, singing, that's my number one goal. But if it doesn't work out or, if something happens where it's just not possible, I would definitely be open to only being a songwriter, and writing for other people because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, going on tour, getting up at 5 a.m. for like an interview on a radio station or, barely sleeping and being overworked. And I just
Yeah.
don't know if that totally aligns with my ideal life. Whereas songwriting, I could just sit at home and, I wouldn't have to put on all the hair and makeup all the time. And I could be much more comfortable and have more of a normal life.
Yeah.
So that is my backup plan, I guess, but still I would like to go for my ultimate goal of being a touring artist.
Well, now recently I saw on Facebook you had a song used in a movie or something that recently just happened. Tell us about that.
Yes, I actually did not write this song. My teacher Andy Karg wrote this song for me called Christmas Times 12, and he gave it to me as a gift. He's like, "Oh, I think this would fit you well." So, yes, it's a Christmas song, and a director I know, Jared Crooks, wanted to use it in his new Christmas movie called The Big Gift. And I was so honored and excited to have it in a movie because that was one of my goals my whole life. So
Cool.
it was so fun going to the premiere and seeing it on the big screen, hearing it on the big screen. It was really fun.
Yeah. What was that experience like? Like as you're sitting there, like was that sort of out of body as well? Like, or how did that feel?
I was just anticipating it so much and I was so excited. And then as I was sitting there watching it, I just had this rush of energy coming over my whole body. And yeah, I just felt really humbled and so excited. So it was so cool. And I got to take a picture of my name in the credits alongside Andy's name. And it was just, yeah, something I had always dreamt about.
Awesome. And then did you recently also perform live? I thought I saw on Facebook you just performed as well.
Yes, I just got back from LA last night and I was there since Friday. And I performed at the Dream Machine International Film Festival,
Cool.
where my music video Midnight Moon was entered in. And also, my best friend Maddie had a film in there called The Actress, which I act in. And we both won awards. She won Best Mockumentary of the Year, and I won Best Music Video of the Year. And
Awesome. Congratulations.
thank you. And I performed. They also had another band performing. And I got to meet Doug Jones, who is the Lifetime Achievement Award winner. And he plays Billy the zombie in Hocus Pocus, which was one of my favorite movies growing up because I love Halloween. So I was majorly fangirling there, and he was so nice, and it was so much fun.
Awesome. Um, well, congratulations on all of that. That's cool. I guess I'm catching you on your way up. So hopefully someday you're not like, who's that Chad guy? I don't want to be on his YouTube again. So
No, I'm so honored that you asked me to do this. It's really cool, and I love all the things that you do. It's amazing.
well, thank you. So for those people who are out there watching, people are at different levels of songwriting and things. Like what advice do you have for, maybe somebody who's just getting started? Or I know you mentioned sometimes you were afraid of doing things wrong. I think you've probably learned that there's no such thing as doing it quote unquote wrong. But what advice do you have for people out there that are thinking about diving more into songwriting?
Ugh, I would say definitely just take that first step. If it involves taking a guitar or piano lesson, do that. If it involves picking up a poetry or lyric writing book, do that. Or even, I haven't actually used this book, but there's something, I think it's called The Morning Pages, which you
Oh,
just
sure.
write.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Julia Cameron, The Artist Way. It's a
Mhm.
whole like 12-week like creativity, spirituality like course. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I would just say do anything it takes to take the first step and spark that creativity. And then whenever you find inspiration, immediately write it down or record it because sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and have an idea and then I'll already forget because I fall back to sleep. But
Yeah,
sometimes if I'm on the plane, I for some reason I feel very creative on the plane because it's just quiet time. I can listen to music if I want or just write. But if I get an idea, in the shower or at the park or whatever, I'll just always write it down or do a little voice memo. And like you were saying, I totally agree. I think you need to just be non-judgmental with your ideas and you know, whatever works will work. And even if the song is horrible, at least you tried and you're making progress. And eventually the songs will improve.
absolutely. No, that's great advice because that's true. I think it was Ed Sheeran that said it's like turning on a rusty faucet where the water is really dark and gross at first, but then eventually it clears up. And that's kind of you don't write really well until you write really bad. But
Mhm.
it's pretty hard to write bad even if you try. So
That's
just
true.
go for it.
Yeah.
Where can people find your music?
I have a website, www.michellerose.com, and all of my links are right on there for social media and Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. But otherwise, if you just search for Michelle Rose or Michelle Rose Music on any streaming platform or social media app, you should be able to find me.
Awesome. Well, Michelle, thanks so much for joining us here today, and I appreciate you being on. And we'll watch for new music, new videos. It sounds like you're doing acting too, so you're kind of covering all the bases. So, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you again for having me on here. I really, really appreciate it. It was so fun talking with you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully, you'll come back again.
Yes, I'd love to. Let me know anytime and I'll be back.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon.